Hi, hello everyone. Welcome to our New Earth Book Club. Week 6, Chapter 6 is about breaking free, and today is October 15, 2019. Um, Hi, I'm Alyssa. I forgot to introduce my name, and with me is Meredith.
Hi, I'm Meredith.
Um, should I say anything else? Okay. Well, oh yeah, I want to say that if you are watching this and if interested to join our book club, there will be email at the end of the slide, and then you can contact Meredith to let us know that you would like to join us. So the first slide that we have over here is about reflection of the last week exercise. For chapter 5, there are two exercises. One is to catch the moment when pain body appear, and then journal all of these signs and to become more aware of when it happened. And then the second one was about try to be more alert and observe any resistance within yourself, and as well as to get curious about the pain body is trying to say. So my reflection, can I start?
Yeah.
I tried this exercise, and I think I'm not really good with journaling, so by doing this exercise, I try to write down things that I feel, the my emotion that I feel, and I just write it down, whatever that I feel. This past week I've been feeling nervous a lot just because of there's a big event that will happen to me. So and my reflection to this is just that I'm aware that it's happening and when it happened, but it's still, I cannot really get rid of it. It's like I don't know whether it's a good thing or not good thing, because I'm aware, the cause of it, but it's just that I still feel it. The nervousness is sad, right? You shouldn't be feel nervous. I keep listening to affirmation about, you're good, you're being positive, you can do this, but still the feeling of nervousness is there. So any advice that you can give it to me, maybe?
Do you feel that do you feel like it's something that you need to fix? I mean, like I would say that the majority of people would feel anxiety about the big event that like you're going through. So like that's kind of a natural thing, and like allowing space for you to feel the anxiety but not let it control, you know,
Yeah,
your actions.
I don't think that it's not like really I want to fix it, but I just don't like the feeling of unpleasantness in it. It's like it's like, why I feel nervous and why I'm so, yeah, why do I have that feeling? Which I shouldn't have that feeling, but I still do. I don't know. That just what has been happening with me this past week. Um,
Um,
yeah, you can share what is how did you do this exercise, and
okay.
any
Uh,
reflection on that?
um, so for me, I notice when like I'm really associating with my pain body when my breathing gets shallow, like that's my biggest indicator that I need to self-regulate um my my body and my brain a little bit. And normally what I do is get in control of my breathing, and then that allows me to easier slip into the observer role and observe the thoughts that I'm thinking about that's causing the emotions that I'm feeling at that moment. And I've also started doing this thing where like I have a journal, and if it's a persistent negative thought, then I write out the negative thought, and then I cross it out and I put in like the new thought that I want to have in that situation. So I don't know if some like an exercise like that might help you with your thing, but like when you're experiencing that, to like stop what you're doing, write down whatever it is that you're afraid of, and then cross it out, and either reframe it into what it is that you're wanting to experience in that moment, like I feel at ease and confident, or whatever it is that you want. And then that's been something that's been helping me get more in control of my emotions.
Oh, that's really good tip. I don't like try to make that feeling unpleasant or try to rewrite it to make it, like make it a positive out of it. So if I may ask, is like, give me an example of that. For example, if I feel scared, then
so like
how would you switch that?
Well, for me, like an example that I would use it with is like reframing my social anxiety towards a relationship that I have with someone. Like if people don't respond back to me, like if they take like a day or two to respond back, then I make up all kinds of stories in my head of like they don't like me, and then the reasons why they don't like me, and I just go on this rampage. So instead, I have stopped myself, and like I read out the negative belief of like so and so doesn't like me, and then I cross it out and I put I'm appreciated in my life for being exactly who I am. And then just like reframing my mindset in that situation gives a lot of like ease with worrying about it.
Okay, that's really a good tip to do. Should try. I will try. I will try. Okay, I'm just thinking of how to do it, but I can think about that later. Anything else that you want to add about reflection of the last week exercise? About recognizing when the pinned body moment happens.
Have you done like a body scan when you're doing this as well, to see like physically how things show up, like physical sensations when you're having certain feelings?
Yeah. No, I haven't done it formally, but I kind of like noticing it, like my hands would get sweaty, or even, I feel the sweatness of it just thinking about it. When I feel nervous about something, that's just an example.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do I supposed to do it? Is it like the body scan? Is it more like a write it down kind of thing as well?
No, I think exactly like you said it.
Okay.
Or at least that's how I do it. And then it just helps to have another like trigger to kind of snap you back in the moment. Like you just said, like having sweaty hands. Well, if you're in that moment of where you're totally associating with the pain body, but then you're able to be aware for a second and you're like, my hands are sweaty. Oh, that means that I'm feeling nervous. How can I get out of this loop and reframe it into something else? I think is really important to pivot out of the emotion that you're currently feeling into something else more constructive, to get control over that's going on.
Okay. Yeah. So let's move to our chapter for tonight, breaking free. Yay. Breaking free from pain body.
Yay.
So I have here what's on page 161. Well, this quote that I have is one of the reason is like I was trying to make sense of it. It's like the connection between, like if you, for someone once had a heavy pain body, so then it is easier for them to get to reach the level of conscious of being present. I mean, it's very interesting because like for myself, I don't really identify myself as someone who has a heavy pain body. I mean, it's like but I don't know, I might be wrong. It's like things that like easily would piss people off. I mean, I don't really, I mean, it's fine with me. I kind of like, it's like that's how I view it. I might be wrong. You know what I mean? It's like, like when someone, for example, when I, like driving, we watch a lot of movie that, some people would just, swear on the road and having a road rage just because of someone else is driving slowly. I mean, that kind of thing is, I don't, I don't get trigger with that. And it's like, I mean, it's just, driving on this. I mean, I don't know where I'm going with it. It's just like, so what I'm trying to say is that there is a pro of, like a pros of someone who have a heavy pain body than someone who has a light pain body like me. It's harder for me to reach the that moment of being, awakening and being present. Just, do I say it right? Do I understand it right? Is that what it means on this?
I understand what you're saying. Yeah, like people who have heavier pain bodies, I think, are kind of forced into realization in a like in probably a bigger way. Like I kind of view it as like you've hit rock bottom or what, like the lesson keeps getting louder and louder until you figure it out. Like you have a heavy pain body, things keep happening until you either accept that you can change things or it just keeps getting worse, and that's why your pain
Right.
body keeps getting heavier and heavier. Where someone who has a lighter pain body, maybe they got the lesson earlier on and they didn't need to take on so much negativity to get to that point, or maybe they're just taking a different pathway to their higher self that looks differently than, taking on all the negativity that maybe a heavier pain body has.
Yeah.
Do you feel that I mean, you're like everyone is still on the path, right? Like everyone is doing their
Right.
best to evolve and to become conscious.
Yes, definitely. I mean, if you ask me where is my progress, I don't even know where I'm at. Like sometimes I feel that I always try to be being present. like, like we've been talking about all this, become conscious and being present, and then now the moment of now. And did you hear that? It's like it's the audio is kind of
Yeah,
breaking.
it's
Oh, okay.
okay now.
Oh, okay. Um. Yeah. So if you, yeah, maybe that's not important. It doesn't matter where you are right now. It's just like is you're doing it. Is that's what it's count? I don't know. I mean, I'm trying my best. You shouldn't be trying. That's what Eckhart would say. No, you shouldn't be trying.
Just be, right?
Just be. Yes. See, now I have to become very conscious about even words that I'm when
That's when it gets fun though. Like I think when you become aware of the moment and you're able to realize that the words that you say matter,
yeah.
to me
It takes
that's
time. It will
fun.
take, definitely it will take time for me because I know I just keep saying stuff.
Oh, I mean, I do as well, but those moments where you are able to be like, okay, as a conscious and aware being, what am I going to speak into existence? You know, like,
Right.
yeah.
Uh, so anything else that you want to add to this concept? Like, uh, many of the wisest, most enlightened men and once had a heavy pain body. So it's like don't feel sad if you have a heavy pain body. Is that what it is? No, that then it is a pain body because you feel sad by yourself. I don't know where I'm going with this.
It
Um,
for me, it means like the people who have gone through some of the toughest situations and then they come out on the other end of it determined to utilize the things that they've gone through to either help other people or to become a better version of themselves versus the people who go through things and then continue to project out their pain.
mm-hmm.
That's the differentiation between like
That
a wise person and someone who just continues to like do the cycle of having a heavy pain body.
that's really good. I love that. That's really good. You know, because I've heard a lot of people that say, you know, if you had a, if you have been abused, then you would become an abuser. So they are making that as a reason, you know, like because you once you had been abused, then it's okay for you to become an abuser. But if you are awakened, I mean, you shouldn't. I mean, I don't know what's the right way to say it. You know? You're not going to do that because you already been suffered enough of that trauma. I mean, you should not be doing it to the other people of what you had experienced. But maybe again, they were doing it just because they're unconscious of that, and that's why they're doing it.
It almost seems like it takes a level of self-awareness and willingness to give yourself like the love that maybe you're seeking from like trying to control the situation when you're in a heavy pain body. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Like when you're feeling so much in pain, you just want to control everything and then it will be better, right? But like in this situation, the people who are able to self-reflect and realize like, oh, I have the power to break this cycle through being self-aware, which means just like being aware of my thoughts and then aligning with thoughts that are where I want to go in life versus blaming other people all the time or whatever, you know.
yeah,
But some people are not able to do that. Like they're just not, their human body is not able to be self-aware. Like you said, they're unconscious. They're not able to figure it out.
yeah. Yeah, and those things I don't know whether it's based on the research, but I think I've heard of it. You know, like people say that if a victim of abuse could be turned into an abuser themselves, just right. You heard of that, right?
Yeah, it's a defense mechanism.
It's a oh, okay. Oh, okay. Interesting. Hmm. Okay.
Like we could go down that road, but
Yeah.
it's all like the individual, it's all kind of dependent on what they feel the defense mechanism that works best for them in that situation when they're going through a lot of pain and fear. some people please in those situations, and to try and help others and fix things as a form of feeling safe, and then other people lash out. That's anyway. I'm going on a tangent.
No, I mean,
road rage.
Yeah, next quote that I really like, because it's not really, I mean, I find it very interesting, because I never thought that all of this traffic accident, it happened because of two active pain body that arrive at intersection at the same time. This is what Eckhart say on page 163. And then further on, if you look, it says, like many acts of violence are committed by normal people who temporarily turn into maniacs. And this is even sad. I mean, even sadder, sad, more sad, just because of I mean, a lot of things that happening through the news that I've watched that relate to this is that like normal people like on the Facebook, they look like a loving couple, family and everything, post very sweet like statement, but then end up kill the other person 8 hours after he posts that message. That, I mean, it just, whatever Eckhart said on this is very true. It's like that act of violence is committed by a normal people that we that looks normal, but then are able to commit all of this bad things.
Yeah, but like well, I mean, people with personality disorders are pretty good at like wearing a mask in society and fitting in. Like that's part of the disease, is like being able to manipulate other people into thinking that like they are loving and not abusive. And then situations like this, I don't feel like it escalates overnight. Like there's signs and stuff, but oftentimes we don't pay attention to those things. We make excuses for people or bad behavior, and then things happen.
So you would think that,
I think we need to redefine our expectation of normal, and on a broader scale, we need to really make signs of healthy relationships and healthy behavior in relationships like a thing that's taught to all human beings, like in schools and stuff, because this is a much deeper rooted problem than just having road rage. Like in the book, it talks about like this is a collective consciousness type of thing. It's a way that we've dealt with pain and negative energy for a really long time. Yeah. So I don't think like the quote normal people, it would almost make sense to like reevaluate what we call a normal human being.
But Eckhart said that as a normal, maybe he needs to define that. Well, I think what society define as normal is like you would never thought that he would do something like that.
Right, but that's where we need to get better at dealing with as a society, as far as proper coping mechanisms for people and giving people the tools to deal with their trauma and pain, so they don't have to put on a mask and act one way out in public, and then internally they're raging against their family and such, and then one day they snap. Someone who's healthy mentally doesn't do that.
Yeah.
But like what you're the quote down at the bottom, sorry about my mumbling.
No, I remember all
You
the
talked
time.
about like the consequences and then being responsible of it. Do you want to talk about that?
Well, yeah, I mean, I just found that interesting what Eckhart was when he was what he's talking about this example, like if someone who are unconscious of committing this violence, then they are not responsible to the action, but still they have to pay the consequence of the action. Uh, so like, but if let's say if the example that I gave before about a husband kill his wife, if we think that he's done it because he's have a mental problem or mental issue, then he's not responsible for it ever. That's what the system, the judge, the judging system would think. I mean, because someone who's has a mental problem is not responsible for. So, but I don't know.
But Eckhart is saying just because he's not responsible doesn't mean that there aren't going to be
Consequence.
ramifications
Yeah.
for killing someone. Like that doesn't mean you get to do horrible things and then still have freedom, because obviously, people
Well,
need to be safe.
if a doctor, a psychologist, psychiatrist come and say that he did it because he's not, no, I mean his mental health is not right, then he may be able to get away with it, right? I mean that is what the whole system is about, all the judging system.
What do you mean by get away with it, though?
I mean not being punished, he's not going to be taken to the prison. I mean he's not pay the consequence of what the society, I mean he may have to pay consequence as a human being, as a person, but not like a punishment. That's what I'm talking about. Like
Yeah, I
won't
think
get
that there's a
punished.
big difference. Like punishment implies you know what you were doing
Yeah.
and you should do differently next time. And maybe that's where Eckhart is coming from with the whole being responsible thing. Like consequences are just natural occurrences from the behavior that the person did. So yeah, your idea of punishment for someone murdering their wife might look different than what actually happens in their life, but they're still living a consequence or an action related to their behavior.
Right. Yeah.
Whether it's like internal or,
Mm-hmm.
what it is that they have to go through to learn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I can go into a different route of, like why the victim, but then should I know why the victim has to suffer of being killed? But maybe that's because of you would say something like it's everything happened for a reason.
Do you want me to reiterate that I
Yeah, sure. I mean, if you have to comment, like about, I don't know. It's up to you if you want to or not. I mean, if not, we can just move on to the.
well, so it is a big pill to swallow to think that like there is some kind of higher meaning or something like when in the victim situation. But I remember a story hearing that I heard from Oprah a long time ago on one of her shows where there was a couple who lost their baby, and I can't remember how old the baby was, but they were just living in grief like 20 years after this had happened. And whoever the expert was on the show like said that baby knew the contract that they were getting into before they came to Earth, because there is a bigger message at play with their life. Like, we don't know sometimes the meaning of things until time has passed. Even in the really painful situations, it can push a person down a pathway that might not have happened otherwise. So like, that's how I come to terms with, really difficult things in life, is you can either let the pain of a difficult situation shape you to be vindictive and hateful the rest of your life, or you can try and glean the meaning and the higher perspective out of the horrible situation. And I guess that's what I try and do. It feels like the more beneficial option is to try and find the lesson in a situation, even if it's a really painful one.
Yeah. Well, this just a separate question. When you listen to the news and then because of so much bad thing happen on the news, do you feel any like anger towards the person who did it?
Yes, but I try not to watch the news too often.
Okay.
I mean, I'm very politically involved, but I try and put my energy into promoting what I want in politics versus trying to push against what I don't want. I mean, I do activities where it's like against what I protesting against something that I see as unjust, but it feels more beneficial, like if I'm feeling anger, to try and figure out what it is that's making me angry and how I can use my energy toward what I want in that situation. So I'm like I'm using the energy that I would be angry with, but I'm using it towards what I want instead,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I understand. I mean, and for me, I don't really watch news either, and it just happened. I accidentally read about it, and make me so mad about it just because because it happened to someone. But then,
So then do you use that as a tool to
I don't take any action. I mean, it's not like I'm mad the whole day to everyone just because it happened. No, I mean, it's just like I don't know. It's like anger, kind of like I have, like anger that it happened.
yeah.
And another thing that I'm thinking is that how can we, how can society or someone else, I mean, people around, I mean, I don't know this couple, so I don't think I'll be able to prevent it from happening. But how can, like someone else can prevent, people around them, if seen anything like this, could prevent the act of, this kind of thing from happening to the other couple if they, like you were saying, like it's not just happen like very quick, it must have gone through a process, all of this behavior or weird behavior of changing, I mean, before he snapped, I don't know. I just have that in my mind when I was thinking, could it be prevented? But maybe it cannot. I don't know.
I feel like being part of promoting the conversation of educating human beings on what healthy relationships look like, and healthy coping mechanisms and mental health resources. I could go on and on about overhauls that I personally feel like would help our society, but I don't know if that's really beneficial or on topic.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we can do another session on, like discussion. We should, brainstorm of what thing we can do.
Society rant.
Next that I think, I mean, as what you can see on the screen is about being present, and the story that Eckhart was telling on page 164 to 167 about this woman who came to him with a lot of complaining, but the way how he react to that, brought the consciousness to that woman. Is very interesting, and like it's like wow. I mean, it's like it happened. It's like I don't know how to explain it. It's like I'm just trying to imagine myself doing, if I want to do everything that would the other person who come to me um being awakened, or he or she might like feel mad because I didn't really respond, because he did basically he didn't do anything. It's like he just stay there with the stillness, empty. I mean, no labeling, like you know what I mean? It's like if I do something like that to my friend.
Well, I think it's more in the context of she came to see him because she knew who he was, it sounds like.
Okay.
And it did sound like there were a few probing questions that he had her do to kind of self-reflect a little bit, but it wasn't much. It wasn't like a full-on psych
Yeah,
like a psychotherapy session or something
I
like
think,
that.
but it happened like on the next day when he was asking a question about I don't know. uh, and then the woman was asking him, what did what did you do to me? But then his response was like, you should ask me what I didn't do to you instead of what did I do to you.
It seems like he was able to probe her questioning to just kind of
like
detach from those feelings, like
like
just to
who's
allow enough
speaking?
space
Yeah.
to become aware of it.
Yeah, when he asked who is speaking on page 165, and then you or the unhappiness in you.
Mm.
And then can you see that your unhappiness about being unhappy is just another layer of unhappiness?
So he says just allowing the feelings to be there. If you don't mind being unhappy, what happens to the unhappiness? So that's totally where she's like becoming the observer
Mm-hmm.
of the emotion versus connecting with it so much.
But now I cannot find where she asked him, what did you do to me? Or am I reading it wrong? I think I read about it. Now I cannot find it.
Oh, the part about the energy, that's on 167. She said, what happened in here? The energy feels heavy. Oh, this is a friend. A friend came in and noticed the heaviness in the air.
Yeah, I think that's another story of the return of the pain body.
Oh,
Yep. Never mind. So
okay.
well, yeah, so well, that's maybe I'm just thinking, if, well, like, yeah, if let's say my friend come to me and ask me, no, I mean, with the same situation, so I can practice, right, what Eckhart was asking. I don't know why I'm going with that, but it's just like, oh, this is more like I can only do this, or maybe I just listen, like being present and listen rather than try to respond or try to feed try to feed the pain body of this person. This is what I mean. This is how I understand it. It's like this unhappy woman, when he went to Eckhart, he has this uh like heavy pain body, a lot of complaint, right? I mean, a lot of complaining about what is happening to her, and Eckhart reaction was just to not really like labeling everything that is happening to, I mean, and not try to uh create more anger in this woman, it's try to, I don't know how I'm going with this. I'm just trying to think about the application side of it. Like, for example, like my friend come to me with a lot of anger. Should I uh, listen? Should I, um, if I want to practice the Eckhart teaching, it's like, should I be asking her questions, or should I just listen and listen to the situation?
Something that I usually do with friends when they come to me and they're wanting to share negative things, I usually ask them, do you
Yeah,
want
this
to
is a
vent
good.
about this, or are you wanting to vent and have me create safe space for you to vent, where it's just like I allow that? Sorry. Or 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 do you want advice on this? And that seems to help, like asking people if they maybe just want the space that someone allows them to
To
feel what they
listen
need to
to.
feel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. uh okay, I think we should move on to the, do you want to reflect a little bit about the return of the pain body? I don't really understand that, but I think it's
Oh,
talk about the negative that
yeah. How
it,
much time do we have left? That was kind of a heavy topic, but
it's about 15 more minutes, I think, because we start about
15.
15 more minutes late.
Do we have a lot of slides left?
This one and two more.
Okay.
um we can move to the next one if you want to. um
Yeah, let's hook it in with the pain body and
okay, let's,
children.
if we can do that together. It seems like the, like the return of the pain body is like the energy, the negative energy is like over there, and it can move from one to another. And that's how I understand it, like one situation to another situation, if you're not aware of it.
Yeah.
Is that, yeah, is that what's really happened, the return of pain body in the story that Eckhart was saying?
I I feel like yeah, that like that the energy can, like, it's an actual physical thing, like even if we're not able to see it, that it's actually there. And um
Yeah.
it's like an energy that can be um transferred to other people or
Mm-hmm.
absorbed into our body unless we kind of transmute it into something else.
Yeah. I mean, which is related to, I mean, to what is on page 169 to 171 is about the pain body in children. I mean, this is example of, like people that live in for children that live in with parents that have a heavy pain body. I mean, even when you try to suppress the pain body, the negative energy is still there. And if the child is are not aware of that, so they could easily absorb that amount of pain body, which is really bad, right? I mean, because it's like it's not.
Yeah, even more so, kids absorb those type of thought patterns and everything because of how our brains develop as children. So we take on toxic thought patterns and negative energy a lot more as children.
Yeah. And then this is, I'm just trying to think about, when I watch some kid that giving like tantrum, like it's after they cry so much, and then the parent would give them what they want. So it's become like a mechanism for them. It's like if I cry, I get more stuff. I mean, which is the more unhappy I become, the more likely I am to get what I want. And this is the recipe for more dysfunction later in life. That is very, I feel that is very interesting. But it's kind of like psychology that kids do to get what they want.
Kids are smart. They're like, how can I manipulate my parents to push their buttons to get what I want?
Yeah, right. I mean, this is like, do you think it's also happened with like adults as well that do that kind of thing? That I cannot think of example of this.
Well, I mean, isn't that the point of all behavior, is we're getting some kind of payoff with it, whether we're conscious of it or not?
True.
We're always seeking like a stimulus to like our behavior, or like reinforcement to it.
Yeah, even like the external motivation.
Yeah,
that's is it. I mean, that's we talk about that a lot.
We're all conditioned.
Exactly. Anything else that you want to add about what's on this few pages?
Maybe one thing about the whole like toxic situations, I really love the analogy of like human beings being like house plants. Like if a house plant is not surviving, then you do something about the environment that it's in, whether you put it in sunlight more often, or maybe it's getting too dry so you have to take it out of the sun more often, or whatever it is that you're altering in the environment that the plant is living to help it to live. You don't ever say like, oh, it's the plant's fault. You switch up the things that is surrounding the plant to help it survive. And I think the same is true with humans. Like, it's really important that we surround ourselves with people who support and lift us up, and also even a step further than that, knowing that ultimately as individuals we're responsible for the thought patterns going on in our heads. But it's a lot easier to get that self-reflection when you're out of a toxic environment and have a little bit of space, as far as like being able to see what toxic behavior looks like from a distance. Because sometimes when you're in it, it's hard to see like what is actually toxic and what is healthy.
Yeah.
That like you need that space. So maybe that goes back again to the whole negative energy thing. Like if you're surrounded by negative energy, it's hard to see that it's negative unless you take a step back from it.
Yeah. You're being aware of that. That's it. Yeah. If you're aware of that situation, then yeah, sure. This is the final slide that I have for tonight. It's about the breaking free of the pain body. So the question is on this page is, 183. How long does it take to become free of the pain body? And the answer is it depends on both on the density of individual pain body as well as the degree of the intensity of that individual arising present. But it's not the pain body, but identification with it that caused the suffering that you inflict on yourself and other. It's not the pain body, but identification with the pain body that force you to relive the past again and again and keep you in a state of unconsciousness. So it's not really the pain body. It's like the identification of the pain body. So then it takes you to the second question. How long does it take to become free of identification with the pain body? And the answer is take no time at all. Can you believe that? Takes no time at all. So when the pain body is activated, know that you are feeling is the pain body in you. And this knowing is all that is needed to break from identification of it. It's all about awareness. If you feel
just like
sad,
in the story of the lady.
Yeah, right.
Like when she became aware that she was not the sadness, it had no power over her like it did before.
And then the last I think is that the knowing needs to be followed by accepting is actually on one page, 184, page 184. The knowing needs to be followed by accepting, and anything else will obscure it again. And accepting means that you allow yourself to feel whatever it is you're feeling in that moment. It's just part of the easiness of now. So basically, it's like, if we're talking about this is just an example, like I'm just keep trying to find an example of like me feeling sad, me feeling sad again. Once I identify that feeling, it is just a pain body in me, and then I need to accept it. Just the knowing is what is needed to break me from being identified with that feeling.
Do you think this correlates back to anxiety like we were talking about in the very beginning? It says, like you just said, anything else, accepting means you allow yourself to feel whatever it is you are feeling at that moment.
Right.
It is like, that's what you just said. You can't argue with what is. Well, you can, but then you suffer.
So it's like through allowing, you become what you are, vast and spacious, and that's what you want, and you become whole. This is what Eckhart said, told Oprah. I mean, he's feel himself as a whole, like that. His that's why he doesn't have that feel of. Maybe rarely having the feeling of anger and sadness, because it's. And then it brings me back to the situation of the news. Why I feel that news? I feel sad or feel someone killed someone else, but maybe because I don't know. It's like where I'm going with this, but this is very interesting. It just the way how I feel it is like it's good for me to have this journey. Like from this chapter, from chapter 1 through just to see how I'm progressing, because this is like step by step things that is happening. It's like it's not just, I don't know, it's like it's a progression. That's how I feel about it. Although I feel that in the past I don't really feel the sadness so much, but now the more I am into the journey, I could feel more emotion, which make me feel unpleasant. Like the feeling of unpleasant. Any comment on that? The feeling of unpleasant is not good, but it's still not that bad. It's just that it's
Well, like we just read, like you can allow it to be what you're feeling at that moment.
and accepting it and allowing it.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Okay, exercise for this week.
Do you want me to read one and then you read
Yeah,
one or what?
please. Yeah, you
Okay.
can read all of it. It's a miracle.
Okay, so the three exercises that Alyssa has wonderfully chosen. Try these exercises the next time you feel the arising pain body. The moment you completely accept your non-peace becomes transmuted into peace. Anything you accept fully will get you there. It will take you into peace. This is the miracle of surrender. Okay, that's cool. When you accept what is, every moment is the best moment. This is enlightenment. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Every moment is the best moment.
Yes.
And then you don't need to deceive yourself and say that there is nothing wrong with a particular unpleasant or undesirable life situation. It may be time for you to get out of it. So if so, you can recognize fully that you want to get out of it. Then narrow your attention down to the present moment without mentally labeling it in any way. No judgment, no resistance, no emotional negativity. Just the isness of the moment. Then you take action and do all that you can to get out of the situation.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you, take action?
I was going to
Because that's an interesting
well,
pivot, I think.
I think just take action, like maybe one example, if like say I don't like my job, accept the isness that's the job, and then if I don't, I just try to find a different job and or get out of that situation. That just an example. That's how, I mean, maybe that's too
Okay.
strong. I mean, maybe I should find a tiny bit of let's say I'm I don't know, if I'm feeling sad, just accept that I feel the sadness at that moment, but then take the action and do that. I don't know, you have to tell me what kind of action I can take if I feel sad. Maybe go a walk on a park, go a walk in a park, go cycle, go watch trees. Is that the action? Is
Um, it does seem interesting. I mean, like I'm all on board for being self-aware enough to know that there are specific actions that can get, like if you're experiencing a state of depression, you can do things action wise to
Mhm.
increase your serotonin, which helps chemically with the feeling of depression and therefore maybe like not associating with it so much, like doing that,
Yeah,
the detachment portion of it, right?
right.
And maybe that's what is meant in this exercise about taking
Yeah.
action.
And this exercise is actually from Oprah and Eckhart, chapter 6.
Okay.
Um, so this is what been suggested for us to do. So I feel like we should be doing it. But
Yeah.
I think I remember uh, in earlier chapter when we talk about blame, you know, like people who blame are supposed to state the fact, like if you say something just for the sake of blaming someone, as opposed to you say something just because you want to change it. So maybe that is the action that you should do. That's why I was going with the job. If I don't like my job, then take an action, apply for a new job or something, you know do something like that.
Like the next step that gets you into an easier moment kind of a thing.
Yeah.
that like eases your
Yeah, because like the easiness of this moment is just to accept that that is just at that moment. But then you take action and do all that you can to get out of that situation.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like not letting it control you.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm sad that I don't have a lot of money, then maybe I go find more works to get more money. I don't know. Accept first accept that it is. Do you think it's very hard, this exercise? We can try and see how it.
I don't know. I mean, sometimes like I think sometimes we can get wrapped up in the action to make the negative feeling go away, but in reality that like further it's not really dealing with the root cause of things. You know what I mean? Like it's easy to say like if you're unhappy with something, we'll just do something about it, but you might have to like look deeper into, you know.
Yeah.
But I see what they're saying. Like you can't I think what they're saying is like not to stay in that space for forever. Like you're not intent even if you're being very aware of the situation that you're going through it, like help move the energy out of your field or whatever by doing something that's going to help bring some positive energy to the situation. Maybe that's what it means.
Okay.
Is that how you interpreted it?
Yeah, we'll take that. Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I like that it linked to the positive energy because I know that yeah.
Like my thinking is like you could be in the isness of a moment, but then if you're taking action out of fear, you're just going to like further perpetuate the fear and anxiety that you feel. You need to be conscious of your choices afterwards to kind of get the results that you're wanting. Not just taking action for the sake of action, because then that looks like anxiety in motion, like I could have anxiety about something, but if I'm doing something as a driver of that, then it's just going to keep perpetuating and making the situation worse.
So maybe the action, it doesn't have to be like big action, I don't know. Or it has to, the action that would, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know where I'm going. Because I would need to think of an example before I can think of the action. I don't know.
Maybe do you think the action could be changing your thought about, or like the perception of the situation? Like the lady in the story, like she had a definite shift in her perception of the situation. Maybe that was her action, is like thinking a different thing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe. Honestly, I don't know the answer to that. I think maybe.
We'll put it out to other people if anyone has any ideas.
If you guys who are watching this have any idea, if you want to write down your comments down below, please do so, and don't forget to subscribe. I think that's the end of our slide, and if you are interested to join this is chapter 6, so we have 4 more chapters, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if you're interested to join us, there's a contact email on the screen, mindfulmeeting@mail.com. We'll see you again next week, October 22nd. Bye.